Hey everyone, hope you all had a great weekend. Thanks for joining me on December 10th. And as always, we are not financial advisors and everything you see on here is for educational purposes only. Alright, let's get started with the dollar. And the dollar had a nice little push today. Joey did reach out to me, and this week is also full of surprises with the Fed meetings. If we go over to his post real quick, he says PPI on Wednesday, so Wednesday should be interesting. CPI Thursday and jobless Friday. The jobless one doesn't really affect us as much on Fridays, but I know the CPI does. I'm not too sure about PPI, but so we can see today, tomorrow will be kind of like a normal controlled market, but going into Wednesday, Thursday, it should be pretty interesting. So for right now, the dollar did push up. It is on a strong reversal fib at 113.29. So if it doesn't get above this, it should technically drop back down. There is a gap right here that we have that we need to fulfill at 111. So I can see it drop back down. This could be doing like a little ABC, but I ultimately see it drop back down to 106 again. With the whole world being kind of crazy, we'll see if it follows, and we'll see if the dollar, again, I'm tracking the dollar because I'm testing it out. We'll see how that one plays out. But as far as BTC, so we knew we're dropping. We broke the previous reversal fib, landed on a really strong reversal fib, and this trend line down here. So all right, so we're right there. So we'll leave it at 19,104. So I want to get this out the way. So 19,104. Actually, I can just leave it here with that. And we'll make it the light blue because it's a stronger one. So as long as 19,107. So as long as we stay above that and we close above this trend line that has, it hit it twice already, this should push back up. And one thing I mentioned was, since our last update, I don't want to jump all over the place, but since our last update, I mentioned, hey, look, this is the one thing that made me kind of nervous was this red moon. There's 4 moons. There's the green, the white half moon, yellow, and the red half moon. The red one is the only one that I've mentioned that plays out pretty well. The rest of them are a mixed bag, and I kind of tend to ignore them. So since since last Monday, my last free update, I mentioned, like, to be honest, I don't know which way it's gonna go, because normally my TA does say, hey, let's go up, but that red moon has been very consistent on a downward movement. So as you can see, it worked out perfect. So we're going to keep an eye on that, so I can almost do this and not even worry about any of the other ones. But as soon as this one prints, well, technically I would need the yellow one, because the yellow one would be like, hey, heads up, it's almost time for a red moon. So this is like the only one that really should matter for me. So I'm going to remove the other ones. The green one does, and I left it green because it's like a 50-50, it'll go up or sideways. But knowing based on where we're at now, we came down, touched on this trend line. So we're on a trend line, we're on a reversal fib. We've had our red move now, so like we've had that downward movement pass already. So I can see us push back up to the top trend line. Like, we haven't hit that top trend line in a while. We've been down here on this bottom one for way too long. So I can see us push back up, which is about 20,829. Now, another thing that I've been sharing the last few weeks, well, not few weeks, the last few days, was how this over here kind of resembles this down here to me. I'm going to hide this. How this over here kind of resembles this down here. So, we did the sideways, and then we did some M. We did the sideways, then we did a M. We went a little sideways. We had a big spike, big drop. We had a big spike, big drop. And I mentioned, this to me does not look like this. So I can see us go up and come right back down. And guess what we did? We went up, came right back down with the help of that red moon. And now I see this. So I see us actually breaking out and closing out that 21 that I see. That's what I see happening. Us pushing up, knocking out that 21. Now, if we were to drop below the 19,107, then we still got another resistance back here. So like there's still more resistance, and it can still drop to that and do the same thing, right? it'll complete this drop a little bit better, and then we go up. So we have two opportunities to bounce here and here. In a rare occasion, let's say like they announce all kinds of crazy bad stuff, then we'll dump down and we'll finally hit our 17K target. But I really don't see that. I still kind of hold to what I mentioned about, you know, November just around the corner now. You know, midterm elections, they gotta, I feel like this week should be some positive to where the market should pump. For the most part, the markets have been dumping for a while, and this is something I've said for a while. For a good minute, and like we'll say, let me bring the calendar up, right? Let's say this week, you know, whether it's like good or bad news, the markets have dumped. Then this week, whether the news, and I'm talking about the Fed meetings, whether the news was good or bad, they still dumped. Then this week, for some reason, they, you know, people have seen it dump the last 2 weeks, so they're like, oh, well, this week's gonna dump too. We know we're gonna hear bad news. We hear bad news, the market pumped. Then the following week, again, we hear bad news, and it pumped. And now everybody got so used to it pumping, which is kind of this time frame here. Everybody got used to it pumping, and now all of a sudden we hear good news and we dumped, right? So it's kind of like they're just kind of playing with whatever people think it's going to be. We had somebody mention in the Discord was like, hey, we heard, you know, if they released good news, why did the market dump? It's because they know they're just pretty much suckering everybody. They know everybody was thinking it's going to be bullish, so they dumped it, right? People tend to pump the market an hour or 30 minutes before they announce the information, thinking they're going to be slick and get in early on a big pump, and then they get dumped on. So we have to be very careful with those pumps and dumps on Wednesday and Thursday. But if we can get a head start and bounce back up, maybe it won't be too bad, or maybe they'll actually pump the coins this time. Because again, or the market, because recently we've been in it. It's kind of upward, but mostly sideways as well. So I can see us push back up. In a rare occasion we drop below, you know, we can knock this out once and for all. It would be great. It's just taking its sweet time, but I generally feel like we should be at a bottom. Kind of losing my voice today. If we look at the BLX, that's an ugly weekly candle too, so maybe it will drop a bit because that's pretty weak. You know, usually we have a weak candle like that, we drop for the week. Well, here we did the same candle, but we still pushed up, so we'll see. I want to bring this up, see where we're at here. Nah, this imbalance doesn't. I need to remove that. That thing doesn't even. I was trying that out, but it's like there's just too many open spots, and it's kind of just like a bunch of random calls, right? Apparently, obviously, some of them are gonna hit, so we'll see. But you know, we're still slowly pushing up, so I can see us still drop to this bottom, like, and that would be 18 on the weekly. You know, there's a chance. I'm still sticking with us doing this, where I can see it push back up and kind of follow this, and then it could be a massive drop. That's gonna be pretty ugly, honestly. If we come back up and touch that 21, because remember the weekly we have to come back up, it might get ugly for the rest of the month. So we go up, and then towards like the end of October, and then drop back down. And this will be like December and January, or no, sorry, November and December, which is normal. Everybody take profits at the end of the year. You know, there's a lot of woo-woo out there saying like, oh, there's gonna be a crazy crash at the end of the year, crazy crash. It's not a crash, it's more of a correction. People like to take their profits, like, you know, everybody knows that. So we'll see how it plays out on BTC side. Again, this is a really good reversal point where we can push back up. Now, if we look at XRP, I mean, it's playing out nicely. Now, we went up, and we mentioned yesterday, hey, this is a strong reversal fib. It should push back down. We're pushing back down. We technically wanted to come back to this bottom trend line because that would be this area here, right? We wanted to drop back down and then pump back up. And this kind of matches with, you know, with BTC. Maybe we drop back down to the bottom. You know, we're already on this fib trend line. Oh, why is it still on? Let's see, this. You know, we're still on this trend line here, but if we drop to the second one, maybe XRP will drop down here. Or maybe we just go sideways for a little bit before it goes up, and XRP drops down to this. because that would match the pattern here, and this would probably be the one of the best entries, if not the breakout, which is, I wonder where my line went. Here. So the breakout would be at this point here when it takes off, and that's when you would catch a really nice pump on XRP. So now we're waiting for nice little rejection here. I did actually mention as well, there is a small chance like you can make this smaller, right? And you see how it also matches the pattern where it went like the U and the U. It didn't go quite as high as I wanted it to, but again, it doesn't match it perfectly. And this right here would have been the breakout. So it needed to break above that orange fib, but since it didn't, it's pushing back down. But there's still a chance this candle could somehow magically turn around, pump back up, and then make a big pump. But remember, don't be FOMOing in, and I've told people before. You know what I mean? It's like you can get in around at the 47 if it drops back down, and then have like a stop loss in case it fails. But if it pushes it back up, you'll make a nice gain. Because remember, we see it drop back down, and remember, this drop back down will make it somewhere around down here to this, or maybe even our 30 cents. We'll drop back down to 36. And if you match this up along, like if I put it back to where it was, remember, we're going to drop back down. So if we look at BTC, remember, when we do the second, when we drop back down, we go up. What are we going to do? Drop back down. So, things tend to line up a little bit. As far as the alts, not too much right now. Matic, strong reversal fib at 84.17, so it needs to break above that to come back down. Now, this is the one that's very disappointing. SHIBA. Based on where it's at right now, it is breaking the pattern. I wish it wasn't, but it's dropping down. It's kind of even, but this needs to be kind of an upward moment. And again, nothing's ever going to be too perfect, but I really don't like, if it starts turning down, I really don't like where this is going. Like, this thing should have stayed going up. And at this rate, we'll either come down to the bottom trend line or finally knock out our 987 target. And honestly, it does look, based on looking at this pattern, it looks like it's going to drop to the 987. I really wanted it to go to the 1216 because that would lock in this pattern. But again, once again, SHIBA is pretty much failing on us. All right, let's go to Luna. Now with Luna, went up, got rejected as a strong reversal fib. Plus it was the red moon, everything pushed down. We went up a little bit. We're currently on a strong reversal fib at 31,821. Now, if we can't break above this one, then it's going to drop back down. And again, this could drop down to the 25,748. And you'll probably better hear my cat. All right, we'll give him a minute, see if he stops. He's not going to stop. All right, so as far as everybody else, I mentioned with Adam, we could go up, come back down to this middle section, which is about 1143. Right now it's 1280. 1280. Yeah, 7. We'll see. Near dropping back down. Other than that, everybody else is just going sideways, slowly down. Ethereum is another one I did want to touch up on. We went up, hit that strong reversal fib, we reversed. We're currently on a an okay reversal fib. This is the dark blue one. It's about 70% chance it'll come back up at 1298. If we hold here, so we hold above this, we're going to push back up. And I really wanted to push back up to that top trend line because then we know, like, all right, this is a good rejection point. This is where you had ETH, you'd want to get rid of it because it's going to come back down. But the fact that it's just going sideways, you could even do something like this. Keeps getting rejected at this trend line. So if we hold here, then we're going to push back up to the top trend line, which is about 1371. But we got to make sure we hold on this price here. As far as everybody else, again, pretty much going sideways. Oh, not Doge. Zil had a nice pump. Got dumped right back down. And Zil's one that kind of pumps up and down easily. So, all right, just quick little overview of everything. So, again, if we hold here, if we stay above 19,107, it's going to push back up. So again, we're on a strong reversal fib. On the trend line, we got the red moon out the way, so we don't have to worry about that anymore. I make this a little too small. Nah, it's too small. Yeah, well, too small. So we got this out the way. You know, right now it's where it has a really good chance to bounce back up. It doesn't have a lot of negative pressure. So we'll see how we do this week. And again, I'll be updating everybody throughout the week. We should slowly push back up. Even though we have like mixed bag with the alts pushing down, pushing back up. So again, as long as we close here, tomorrow should be a nice green candle. I don't know how big it will be just yet. It all depends on how we close here. Like, if the higher we push back up, the better chance it's going to be a bigger candle. You know, if we drop back down and close all the way down here, we'll see. Because right here, look, we closed pretty strong candle, but still push back up. So, you know, people are always buying this dip. So I can see us push back up, and I can see this week help us out instead of like hurt us when it comes to the markets and the Fed news. So we'll see how everything turns out. So this is where I do my ads. So if you guys are already subscribed or don't care about the ads, you guys can already log off. But if you guys want to get more up-to-date info, I do have a paid Discord where I do give more frequent updates. I have a $10 tier, so you can watch my YouTube videos that I post Monday through Friday. I got a $30 tier where it gives you access to the Discord and my signal alerts in case something crazy or dramatic does happen. My Edge tier is also for those who need a little bit extra help that want to do like one-on-one sessions when it comes to like portfolios, or you know, help getting some funds unstuck, or you know, having trouble with the wallet, or you know, requesting coins like specific charts. So like here we had someone that requested ADA, and up here Crypto University made a video where it's like, hey, you know what, this can pump all the way, this could be a bottom and it can push back up nicely. And I mentioned, nope, I have a target at 42 cents. Like, we have to drop back down there, which we did. So, you know, it gives you a little bit better advantage, so that way you don't get into a coin at the wrong time, or at least you have a better view of like, hey, if it's pumped, don't worry about it, don't chase it, it'll come back down. You know, this is a price range you can get back in, so that way you're not just, you know, chasing all these coins that are pumping and dumping. But I also have a scalping trading course, so if anybody's interested on, you know, trading whether the market's going up or down, I do have these available as well. And with that said, I will see everybody on the next update. See you there.